Let us know when you guys can hear us on the live page chat room.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight, by the way.
Alright, well, I see my ugly mug on the live page, so I think we are good to start.
It's your cute mug.
Yeah. Yay! Alright, Cav and Sybil say it's alive. I will go ahead and start in 5, 4, 3. On this episode of the AIE Podcast,
Nomads roam into Minecraft.
baseball! WoW Patch 6.1 is dropping Tuesday.
Real life meetups, and they're not at spring training games.
Aww. Expansions to spend your tax return on.
Hoots and Turbo are here to talk to us all about AIE in EVE.
All that and more coming up right now.
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
Welcome to episode number 226 of the podcast celebrating the Aliyah Iacta Est gaming community. This is Tetsemi. There are 2 outs. It's the bottom of the ninth. Oh, wait, wrong podcast. Wait a minute. With me, as always, is Makala.
Hey guys, there's some homemade Cracker Jacks in the guild kitchen.
Thank you for continuing the show theme. And we're split squad this week, so sadly, Eludra will not be joining us. This week, we are joined by special guests Hoots and Turbo, who are here to talk to us about AIE in EVE. Welcome.
Hey guys, I successfully found the mute button, and I want to apologize for all of you listening to the live stream. I don't have a camera set up right now, so you get to see a picture of an angry owl, although maybe that's even better than my own face. I'm not quite certain.
The angry owl is actually epic, so it works.
Some people fear the great Hooten von Putin.
Is that the face you use when you have to talk to people about their activities in EVE?
That's either the face I use. It's either that, or if you want to be slightly offensive, it's like a stylized picture of Mussolini, because I make the trains run on time, and yeah, so that's I guess me.
Offensive and historical. I like it.
So, Makala, what have you been up to in or out of game?
So we had a great night Thursday raiding in WoW, which is really good because sometimes we just bang our head against the wall and we, gosh, what all did we down? We got through the first wing. Brackenspore teched us no problem at all. I can't think of the next boss. What's the next boss?
So we got
Not Blackhand. Wrong one.
We got the first 5 bosses.
Or Brackenspore?
Yeah, we did twins. We got twins,
yeah.
Twins, Ogron, Tectus, Kargath, and there's another boss.
There is. Anyway, we had a good night. Nothing personally, I think, dropped for either of us loot-wise. But some nights when other people are getting loot and the team is meshing and it's all going great, who cares? So you don't get gear. That was the extent of my experience in WoW. Been spending a little bit of time at the hospital with our friends Alakaz and Leontine with their brand new beautiful baby daughter, who should be hopefully coming home soon. Played some D&D. Maybe having a conversation with my cleric tomorrow about why I did something. Thanks so much. And cooked a lot of food. Hey, Ted, what have you been doing in game or in real life?
About the same. Like I said,
you don't cook?
I do cook. I made food last night. It was in an oven and it was pre-packaged, but I made food. Anyway, we got the first 5 bosses down on normal, and then we did Heroic Kargath. And so tonight we're going to go work on Korag, and once we get him down, we're going to peek into Blackrock Foundry and take a look at Gruul and Orgorger, because those fights just look fun.
So I should watch some videos between dinner and raid?
Yeah, while you're boiling the noodles for the lasagna that you're going to make for the D&D dinner tomorrow, you watch the Fat Boss videos, yeah.
Yes, sir.
As someone who does no rating in World of Warcraft ever, don't watch the videos. Just go right in, just YOLO it. You'll be fine. Everything, what could possibly go wrong, right?
I'm married to one of the raid leaders. The guy next to me, so I probably should do my homework. If not, he'll tell the other two on me. Also, when you say everything is fine, what can possibly go wrong, that means everything is going to go wrong. I know this from experience.
It's her trigger. Everything is fine. No, it's not.
It's never fine. We digress. So, guys, what's been going on with the two of you in and out of game? Hoots, what are you doing?
Well, okay, so I have a tale to tell. My tale involves on last week, Sunday night, I was recording a wonderful analysis show of the Cap Stable podcast, and we were analyzing Space Congress, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the show. And mid-recording, maybe, I don't remember if you were there, Turbo, but about maybe halfway to 2/3 of the way through the recording, all of a sudden my computer just did a cold power down. And then there was at the same time, like, I thought I saw out of the corner of, like, my eye a spark just, like, coming from the power supply. And then there was, like, you know, the smell of burning, and then a very small amount of smoke. So I've been in no computer land for all of about up for like a week. It, like, the power supply is just dead, and it took the motherboard and the CPU with it. So it was an adventure going. I'm the director of EVE Online for AIE and EVE, and oh my God, I can't be in game. So
you're in geek hell, basically.
Well, yeah, and what we got to do is we got to exercise or do a stress test of the what happens if Hoots gets hit by a bus protocol. And I want to take this time and say thank you to pretty much everyone that stepped up and kind of did the annoying tower-oriented tasks in EVE that I'm usually responsible for. It was really great to see everyone kind of step up and help out, because that was pretty terrible. But no, other than that, yeah, I haven't been playing games because I literally just put the CPU in my new PC last night, and I'm finally up and running again.
Good, okay, so back to having fun in EVE and every other game soon, too. That's miserable. So, Turbo, your computer's working, right?
Somewhat. I actually have to start my computer up, let it start to get warm, and manually spin up the CPU fan until it takes off because the bearings went out in it. I've ordered a new one, but once it gets hot, the bearing works perfectly fine. It's right now it's a little bit slow to start. But lately I've been playing the Minecraft on the Take It server with the Nomads.
Oh, great.
And been trying to help with Hoots' little empire. It's a whole lot to do. I'm trying to make sure that people have stuff to get out and blow up every night, and make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to and not getting into trouble.
Oh wow, that's I would imagine with a game as extensive as EVE, that's quite a bit of work.
It's not quite as hard as you'd think.
Okay.
Just you have to sometimes threaten people at gunpoint to stop acting out and start doing what they're supposed to.
So business as usual.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Gunboat diplomacy.
Hey, I think in a game like EVE, where we know that we don't have that family-friendly tag, we can get away with that sometimes.
We're really trying to break that. We try to keep it somewhat family-friendly.
Awesome.
Especially in our stuff, but we can't control Brave, Comms, or anything that happens on with the Alliance. So we try to police everything that we can for us, but
Lead by example.
yeah,
Awesome.
try to keep it
And,
all.
I do want to take a minor correction. As far as, and this is actually just backing up a little bit, I've been thinking about, how miserable it's been, in air quotes, without a computer. It's been, like, so miserable, like, that I got a whole bunch of cleaning done, I read a book. I would have... I would have gone outside, except unfortunately it's like -10 degrees Fahrenheit where I live, so
No.
I haven't really gone outside. But like,
I
if
wouldn't.
it was summer, it very well might be possible that I might have not come back, and that it might have been like just too good, and it would have been like, well, there's the outdoors here. Who needs video games now?
Hey, that's
talking
awesome.
to family. Oh, all of that was just so terrible. It's good
Just
to be
the whole
back.
idea of sitting down and actually reading a book sounds brilliant. Anymore, I have time for maybe a graphic novel or two here and there, but that's about it. Awesome. So, anything else to share in real life, guys?
No,
I can't think of
that's-
anything.
Yeah, that's really about it for me too.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and delve into Deep shortly, but first, are we ready to cover this week's news?
AIE News.
Alright guys, just a heads up, please watch out for some downtime on the AIE website this weekend as we prepare to unveil the new look on Saturday, March 28th. Each game in AIE will have its own landing page with more specific information for that game and the AIE activity games in it. And congratulations to the wonderful mistress of RP and WoW herself, Ironclad, also known as Iron Tribe for her many, many alts. She is our new Guildie of the Month. Iron is a steadfast cheerleader of AIE and the New Braid. She always encourages RP in both the forums and with her Thursday night RP in-game. She's currently actually having computer issues herself, so she's not been in this game as much as she likes. If you want to nominate a member of AIE in any of our games, email gotm@aie-guild.org.
And speaking of the AIE community, Shimmer Edge. Wow. words are
Shimmer Edge.
hard. Shimmer Edge. One of our great guildies who calls Australia home will be in the U.S. and visiting AIE members in late February through mid-March. And because we're always looking for an excuse to hold a meetup, the Phoenix crew has a meetup planned on Wednesday the 4th at 6:30 at Chino Banditos. Come join us for Jade Red Chicken and Snickerdoodles and give Shimmer a big hug. More information can be found on the forums.
And also on our meetup.com site. And if you've not ever used it, go ahead and make sure you sign up. We pay for it every year. In fact, we take donations for it. It's a great source to organize meetups, figure out who's near you, hang out with people. Just do it, people. All right, in WoW, patch 6.1 is dropping Tuesday. Hey, isn't that when spring training starts?
Pitchers and catches are reported. Thank you.
All right. A lot of great information on the forums, of course. Some things that are going to be included is new legendary followers, new races at the Dark Moon Fair, new character models, including, blood elves, Twitter integration, heirloom collection tabs, yay. Garrison UI, Garrison stuff, including UI tweaks, platinum invasion rewards, NPC daily quests, which are different between garrisons. So visit your friend's garrison to get more quests. Oh, can we raid Rose Garrison again?
Oh yeah, because he is planning on going up to the Batani area and getting an invasion, and you can actually call a world boss and get a 40-man raid in your own garrison and have a world boss raid all to yourself.
Oh, brilliant! All right, so also with the garrison stuff, it's going to contain new followers, outposts, cosmetic transformations, toy effects, better flight paths. Wow, words are hard. Who had 18 minutes into the podcast? Macaulay can't speak. And evidently, colorblind support. I know you played around with that a little bit, Ted. How does that work? Does it seem like it's going to be effective?
Yeah, it's much better. emphasizes the colors that the colorblind folks or people that are color deficient, certainly certain colors, it improves those colors. So you actually will know that the Horde is red and the Alliance is blue.
Awesome. Accounts with inactive subscriptions are now able to log in with the same restrictions that Starter Edition accounts have, as well as additional perks of being able to join guilds that characters on the account are already a member of. Also in patch 6.1, you're going to be able to trade up to level 670 ethereal waist, head, legs, hands, wrist, back, and rings using Apexis crystals. Wow. Also, in case you're not familiar, there are lots of different ways to get Apexis crystals, and with the patch, they're introducing even more in the form of follower missions, purchasable scouting missives, which will be available at 200 garrison resources each. These missives can be also purchased in your garrison and will unlock additional Apexis crystal dailies. We have there's a ton of patch notes available on BattleNet. There's the link in the show notes. Also, WoW has a great guide on gathering and spending Apexis crystals. Also, speaking of WoW, in the forums, a previous Guildie of the Month, the Wonderful Sparrow, is doing some research around PvP, why people do PvP. There's a link in the show notes on the forums as well. Go ahead and click that link to help him with the research.
And in Star Wars The Old Republic, just a heads up, Emperor Palpatine should be returning to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Look busy.
Look busy.
Look busy.
Yeah, exactly. Escape Podcast episode 78, not easy to say, is out. This week, AIE SEMA, Max the Grey, and Astromech EPC 78 talk about in-game events. They give some history of events that have come and gone, a review of current events, and a discussion of preparation and rewards. They also cover their favorites and things they would do or change in the future. All this and news for the week from SWTOR in general and AIE are on the forums. Stay up to date with the forum discussion as well on the podcast itself.
All right. In Lotro, our very own Ludra, is that why we're split squad tonight? She's in Lotro, I'm pretty sure. She returned to Lotro, and she started a great discussion on what a returning character can do, has access to, etc. Take a look on the forums, or if you're in Lotro, keep an eye for Ludra. She'll be the one digging in the dirt.
And in Star Trek Online, there's the first-time buyer's pack. Any captain knows that when a deal comes your way, it's best to act on it. Star Trek Online is pleased to announce that Ferengi merchants are adding an extra incentive for any user. For any captain, their first purchase of Zen for Star Trek Online through the ARC game webpage or the ARC client allows them to claim one new first-time buyer pack in the promotion section of the C-Store. Currently, there's a 15% bonus to Zen, so captains should definitely take advantage of this opportunity.
And in Final Fantasy, the Heavensward Standard Edition is available for pre-order. There's no release date yet, but Square Enix has an approximate date of spring 2015. Here's what to expect with this new X-Pack. Increased levels up to 60. Dark Knight Tank, not Batman, I apologize, wields a two-handed greatsword and the power of darkness to deal damage to the foes. Astra Legion is a healer, taps the power of the stars to cast potent healing magics while drawing upon energies from constellation-based divining cards that support your party. Yes, if I played this game, that's what I would play. That sounds amazing. Mechanus, which is a DPS, deals damage from afar, using a combination of firearms enhanced with various attachments, and mechanical turrets deployed on the battlefield. Included in this expansion pack is a new race called the Aura, a new city-state Ishgard, and new primals Bismarck and Ravana, and flying mounts. I know we actually had folks from Final Fantasy on a while back. I want to say it was around 221. So to get more information on what's coming there, go ahead and listen to that podcast. I might be wrong on the number. I apologize.
And nomads. Nomads like to roam, and this week they are roaming into Minecraft. They've set up a Tekkit server, and their tweet, AIE Nomads, linked to the wiki for the AIE Guild with the information on how to join their Tekkit server. And with that, let's get back to Hoots and Turbo and find out everything that's going on in Eve, and I mean everything.
Woohoo! Let's learn all about Eve.
All right. Well, you know what? I think we'll begin with actually kind of a little bit of a narrower picture and just focus on our end of the woods. Turbo, what have you been up to with this Tuesday night ratting bait fleet? Apparently it's not only on Tuesdays now.
Yeah, we've been trying to have... We've had a few new people come in that are really friendly and really good at what they're doing. So they've been setting up the defense fleet for our home system of GJO every night now. And on nights that we have the mining ops every Wednesday, we actually provide protection for them and the other miners that are in the system. Tuesday nights, though, has been kind of a busy night because that's usually patch night. So most people try to get in and catch up on anything that might have changed. But Argus, one of the new guys, he has decided that he is going to start baiting people out by getting a slightly expensive ship and making it the strongest tank ship that he can, so that we're all waiting to pounce as soon as somebody tries to attack him, and pretty much doing a whole lot of that and trying to play fast response to anybody that's calling out for help for right now.
Now let's actually back up a little bit. Baiting. I think that's a term that we kind of bandy about because we all in like the Eve universe know exactly what that means. But do you want to explain, just for kind of the people out there who don't play Eve, in an Eve context, what is baiting and how does it work?
And ratting. That term kind of is used in other games, but why don't you go ahead and explain both ratting and bait fleet?
Well, ratting is pretty simple. It's kind of like raiding a little bit, where you'll get a group of friends together and then you go to a room of it's an anomaly, which would be similar to a dungeon, although they're out in the open world like you'd see in old EverQuest. Everybody gets to that, and they just start killing all the enemy NPCs, which can get you quite a bit of money, and you can salvage all those ships and turn them into stuff to build other things with, which will also get you money. So you can make a fair bit of money doing that. So ratting is what we just return. We refer to rats as the NPCs that will attack you, like if you just see a mob out in World of Warcraft or whatever. So whenever somebody says ratting in Eve, it's always like, hey, there's an NPC mob to kill or run from, because there's new ones that will evidently one-shot capitals. So yeah, you don't play with those.
Wait, one-shot capital ship?
We'll get to that in a little bit. It was a new feature that was introduced.
I was going to say, that sounds a little OP.
A little bit. So baiting, and actually I'll go in there. Baiting is when you as a player pick a ship that would look like a really attractive target to kill for another player. Either because it's really weak and defenseless, or because it looks like it would be really expensive. And then what you do is you fit it up and basically equip it in such a way that it's really difficult to kill. And then you have all of your friends in the same like voice chat as you, and you just kind of wait, as if you're fishing. And you wait for an enemy player to bite and to attack, and then all of your friends swarm and kill basically the enemy player that's come and taken the bait. And it's one of my most favorite activities in Eve.
Yeah, you kind of just pretend like you're being stupid or lazy or just
Or you've got an
unknowing.
AFK in a
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
zone.
Like, oh, hey, I'll just walk away from this. I'll be safe. I'm not anywhere near where most people would look. And then they warp to you, start attacking you, and the person's just sitting there absorbing the damage while all your friends are coming to rescue and attack them.
So the question is, you set up the bait, but how many times have you been counterbaited where they send in one ship and go, wait a minute, that looks suspicious, we're going to expose everyone to attack them, and then when you guys jump them, they jump you?
Usually we can overwhelm them with numbers, because we have all of Brave, and that's, I think there are over 10,000 people now. So we can get, if we get like a really big group come in somewhere, we're 2 jumps away from the main staging system, and we can usually get a pretty serious defense fleet to come to the rescue if it's something worthwhile.
There is sometimes defense fleet in our main staging, and the Alliance main staging is a little pokey, though, and I do have a story regarding that I'll tell quickly. There was Marduk, he's one of the corp mates, and myself, we set up what's called a gate camp on one of the gates, and what that is you sit on a gate in EVE Online, which connects one star system to another, and you just kind of wait on that gate, waiting for people to jump through, and then you ambush them, because you're kind of a jerk, and it's a real fun thing to do. So Marduk and I were doing that, and all of a sudden, we were sitting on this gate, and we saw this ship called a carrier appear on grid, and a carrier is what's called a capital ship. It's a big ship that costs a lot of in-game currency to build, and it's not something that you see every day just wandering along to a gate. And Marduk and I are just kind of sitting there for a couple of seconds saying, what's going on here?
It's a trap.
Is this a trap? And well, we were like, okay, I guess let's aggress the carrier and let's attack it. And there are a couple of mechanics that if you attack something, you can't jump through a gate right away. And as it turned out, the carrier, this was very shortly after some mechanic changes to carriers, too, that allowed them to jump through gates. Formerly, for a bunch of reasons, they weren't able to, and they traveled a different way. But long story short, we were 2 jumps out from our main Alliance staging, home of 10,000 brave newbies. And this carrier jumps through the gate after we attack it, and we're like, well, we should get people from next door to help out. And unfortunately, sometimes the Alliance is a little too pokey, and our carrier, which just happened to be going along its merry way, completely got away, unmolested, because and there's still
The
ships,
big
too.
fish got away.
Oh
It did.
my God.
So
That's
every
awful.
now and then, sometimes the Alliance is a little too pokey, and sometimes you get counterbaited, absolutely. But that's all the fun. That is absolutely all the fun of EVE.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean that's half the fun. If it was you setting up the ambush all the time and succeeding, then where's the danger, right?
It's
That
it's
is
the paranoia.
absolutely-
It's the paranoia. It's the intrigue. It's the hey, we just got played. All of it.
Yeah, we actually, I think Brave, probably 2 months ago, counterbaited a really expensive, is 150 billion ISK Titan out.
Oh my God.
This Titan owner had been known for doing drive-bys. Like, he would sino his Titan in and doomsday something just because, well, he had a Titan.
And just to explain all of that really quick, basically, so the Titan is the biggest class of ship in the game. It has a weapon called a Doomsday, which is as aggressive as it sounds. You fire it once, and it kills basically another giant ship that it's targeting. And you're right, this Titan jumped into system and kind of flew by, or we call it drive-by, affectionately, and attempted to kill this other ship. And unfortunately, the ship that it tried to kill, we knew it was coming. We had it appropriately equipped. It survived the doomsday, and we managed to trap and kill the Titan. It was pretty incredible.
That sounds amazingly epic. Oh my gosh.
We were able to
Yeah,
actually we were able to actually get a person that had played the game for only 2 days in on that kill. Like
Oh, so he's on the kill board. That's amazing.
yeah, he's green for the entire career of Eve, unless he starts flying Titans.
That's amazing. I mean, that's like setting up a dragon kill. You know, it's like you bait him in. The dragon goes, "Oh, this will be easy. I'll just kill it." And then all of a sudden, why am I on the ground? Why are they poking me? How come I'm dying? Yeah, that sounds amazing.
So there is, since we've last been on the show, to kind of move away from AIEU news a little bit, just EVE news in general, there was a trailer that came out, and it got a lot of news in the kind of just the general gaming press. It was called the This Is Eve trailer, and it came out late November of last year. If you haven't seen it, stop listening. If you're watching live, stay with us. But if you're listening, stop now and go watch that trailer, because it's amazing. There's a censored version and an uncensored version. The uncensored version has some naughty words, so be aware there. Don't listen with kids around or at work. And it's an amazing trailer, and it really encapsulates, just to kind of give a quick summary, the developers of EVE, CCP, took a bunch of player comms samples and made a trailer out of it. And it's really well executed, and it's probably one of the best gaming trailers I've seen in a good long while. And we got, after that trailer, a really large influx of new players, in not only in AIE, but just across the game. And we realized, everyone at the same time, the players realized, CCP realized, that EVE, in addition to being a sometimes unfriendly game, just isn't that great at teaching new players how to play the game. So 2 days ago, one of the developers, his name and his handle is CCP Rise, he announced in a new dev blog that in the next 1 or 2 release cycles, there's this complete revamp of how the tutorial system in EVE is working, and it's called the Opportunity System. And Turbo, have you gotten a chance to look at that?
Yeah, I've been looking at it a little bit, and they're actually doing a pretty good job at completely revamping the NPE, which for the longest time has been kind of bad. Like, you go into it and they don't really teach you anything about.
And the NPE, to be clear, is the new player experience, right?
Yeah.
Which is that's just kind of what we call the beginning, like, couple of hours in EVE Online.
Yeah, because I remember when you go through that, and it's been a few months since I did it, but it was basically like, here's how you set up your, not even set up your overlay, but here's where everything is on your UI. Here's how you dock at a station. Here's how you find an agent. Okay, go to this next station. You're going to have to jump to that, next station and talk to this person in that station. But even that level from somebody coming brand new to video games, or even coming from a more, I don't want to use the term sheltered, but a more less of a sandbox MMO, like WoW or like SWTOR or some of those other games, you can get lost really fast.
Yeah, and the thing about this opportunities system, and they're kind of playing around with it on the test server right now, which anyone who has an active EVE subscription can go check out and provide feedback on. It's definitely less of a structured tutorial system, and it's almost like an achievement system in, say, maybe like Xbox Live or World of Warcraft achievements. Is they pick up like a thing you can do in EVE, and then they break it down into very focused steps. So like the the let's be a miner opportunity. It starts out with, well, hey, you want to be a miner, so here's how you go find an asteroid. And then once you've found an asteroid, here's how you target an asteroid. Here's how you mine from the asteroid. Here's what you do with the ore once you have the ore. And it breaks it down into a really neat and really concise checklist that is a lot less overwhelming than just an immediate vomit of words at your screen.
Right.
And I'm really excited about this revamp.
And I actually added in a link. It's a thing that I started about 3 weeks ago. It's called the Eve Flight Academy, and they are going down and breaking down everything you would want to know about Eve in these short little sets of videos, and they explain what you're doing. They kind of just give you a pretty good just rundown of every little thing you can do, what you would like to do, and it's just a good place for anybody to start if they just even want to learn a little bit about Eve.
Very cool. I'll have to look at that because I want to get my my pilot back in the game, because even if it's just to fly around and do salvage or join in the mining things, I had a lot of fun in the game, but like you said, unless you're involved in the corp, and it sounds like the corp is very active, the single player of what do I do can be kind of overwhelming.
So Eve, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Eve is a pretty lousy single-player game. And people play solo. There are people that play solo, and there absolutely are people that enjoy Eve for the solo experience. But to be totally honest, I would not be playing Eve if I was not playing in an alliance and with a corporation. I don't think, for me personally, the solo stuff available in Eve is that compelling. Eve, for a lot of us, is really compelling when you're working towards a goal with a group of people. And that's kind of the one big caveat I'll kind of throw out there to people that are looking to play Eve. It is definitely, in all aspects, a massively multiplayer game. It is a social game.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most social MMOs you can play right now. Aside from us having the little option that World of Warcraft has to be able to tweet inside the game, there's pretty much everybody's got communities, and the little communities are what drive the game at this point, and it really shows that we're on the high days. I think we're at like 44,000 people online at one time.
Oh wow!
And that's on one server.
And again, remember,
That's in
everyone
the Brave
lives.
Collective, right? Sorry, that's in the Brave Collective, the 44,000, right?
Well,
no,
the
Brave
server
Collect-
population.
No, that's the single shard of concurrent users. I think it hovers anywhere from 44 to 50,000. I've seen as high as 60,000 individuals on the same server at the same time. Brave Collective, I think, hovers at around 10,000 to 15,000 characters, and again, give or take, some of those are less active than others, and a lot of those are repeats. But since we've last been on, we're now are a member of the largest alliance in the game. We have beaten Goon Swarm Federation, so take that, Goons.
Nice.
The only other thing I really wanted to go over is it's been at least a couple of months since we've been on, and Eve switched last year from a 2 expansions a year release cycle to a 6-week release cycle. So every 6 weeks, new features are pushed to the live servers, and that's been kind of a really radical departure on how new features and things are introduced to Eve. So it means a lot of content and a lot of quick changes much more quickly than you saw before. And I highlighted a couple of the releases and kind of a couple of the features from each releases. We don't need to go through them all, but one of the big ones, if you hadn't heard and you had been playing the game once upon a time, you'll remember this thing called skill clones, where if you have your pool of skill points, and it was a confusing system where you had to make certain the medical clone that you had could contain the number of skill points that you could hold, and math is hard, and if you messed up and didn't, you would lose skill points when you died. That's gone.
Right. Good. Okay, so now if you die, you can still lose skill points, but it's not because you didn't have the clone up to snuff, right?
Exactly. Your clone does not matter regarding skill points anymore. You can still lose skill points under a couple select circumstances, like if you lose a specific really expensive ship, you can lose skill points, but other than that, skill point loss has been pretty much eliminated from the game. And that's
wonderful.
Yeah, it's really great. It's been just this huge quality of life. What else? When did Infinite Skill Queue? When was that introduced, Turbo?
That was...
You mean you're no longer limited to 10 days?
You're no longer... It was 1 day. And now...
That's right, it was 1 day.
Yeah, so that's gone. You're now limited... There is a limit. It's not unlimited skill queue, but it's 150 skills or 10 years, I think?
500 days.
500 days, okay, I'm a liar.
500, is it? It might be 5 years.
Okay,
It's
really long period
crazy.
of time. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's been great. It means I'll never log into the game again. No, I'm just joking. But that's been a great quality of life improvement. So, and a lot of those little things have been happening, especially in just the past couple of months. We've seen skill clones go away, the infinite or much larger skill queue being used. It looks a lot prettier now too, and Eve always looks a lot prettier. Kind of the developers are constantly introducing kind of new graphical tweaks, and in one of the expansions, they released a new system called physically based rendering, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because it lets me say the really lame joke, Eve looks better with PBR.
There you go.
Absolute ribbon, wow.
Nice.
So I have a question about the skill queues. Is it still the fact that you can only have the skill queue running on your active pilot?
Yes, and no.
Yes.
You can, if you pay CCP the developer money, unlock additional skill queues. But that is an extra monies that you must pay for. By default, you can only have the one character active.
Can you use Plex to pay for that extra skill queue?
Why, you absolutely can.
Ooh.
So if you're good at making money in-game and can trade the money in-game to ISK for Plex, then you could run multiple pilots. Got it.
So the more you play, the more you make. Got it. That's brilliant.
And
yeah, I've actually got one pilot that I started doing that with. I make enough money to be able to afford to have him keep training while I've got the other guys training too.
And I guess the only other thing I want to talk about is in the most recent release from last week, Tiamat. It was a smaller release, but these new rats, which are short for pirates, I don't think we actually explained that, were a release called Drifters. And Drifters are a new super pirate or super rat that if you fire at them, they're not aggressive, so they don't actually seek you out, and they don't do anything unless you attack them. But if you attack them, they apparently have like a super weapon that destroys capital ships in one blow.
Yeah, so they have the Doomsday version for the NPCs.
Exactly. It's
Perfect.
pretty. It was pretty great, and actually, there's been this whole story arc over the past couple of months over this. So this is kind of a little known fact in Eve about the skybox, in quotation marks, in Eve, is the stars in the background when you're in space represent systems that you can travel to. And one of the stars a couple of months ago went supernova and was seen kind of across the entire Eve cluster. And CCP, the developer, they've released a series of videos detailing actual player exploits in kind of piecing together what this star and what this supernova has kind of meant for the wider Eve universe. And the latest video details these new drifter NPCs and how they killed a player's capital ship just in one fell swoop.
And one thing to add to that is everybody in Eve kind of knows that you shouldn't be able to see the sun go supernova from anywhere in space. You should only be able to see it
Right.
in relative terms, like if you're close to it. But it happened simultaneously across all of Eve. So it went supernova because of something special that we don't understand yet, and that's part of the lore. Like something's happened, and it created a whole bunch of new wormholes that we actually got. I think in the Proteus release, it was the Rare release, just shattered wormholes with Thera, and those wormholes, the cataclysm that happened in Thera, that caused them to have all the issues that they're having now in that wormhole, is directly tied to this one sun going supernova. And some people are saying that it might have been a Dyson sphere. They were trying to harvest a sun, but we haven't figured that out yet. It's going to play out this year of just all this crazy little lore that they're trying to do.
Yeah, they've been doing.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that does highlight the point for people that think it's just a PvP sandbox, that there actually is a storyline that you can follow in there, as well as the other things you can do in the game. But there is a definite story thread interwoven in the game, and they seem to be accelerating that storytelling.
Actually, yeah, they've been doing an uncharacteristically good job at storytelling. CCP in the past, I wouldn't peg as someone really great at storytelling in their MMO, but these past couple of months, CCP's just been knocking it out of the park as far as storytelling and lore is concerned, and we're really, really excited to kind of see that development. The only other thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up Eve News, although I should talk about Space Congress, I'll talk about Space Congress. Cap Stable is a podcast that Turbo and I are affiliated with. We cover all things related to EVE Online that matter, and some things that don't. But
naturally,
over the past couple of months, since January, we've been doing interviews for what's called the Council of Stellar Management. And very briefly, the Council of Stellar Management is a group of players that are elected by the player group to serve as representatives to CCP. And they were formed after this big scandal that involved the employees in the company giving basically great, huge advantages to players in the game. And yeah, after that scandal, the company went, well, A, we're going to develop an internal affairs department so that this stuff doesn't happen again. But B, we're also going to allow for this council of player representatives to exist. And each council kind of determines its own agenda. Some are more focus groups than others. Some are more wartime groups than others that want to ask certain things from the developer, but each group kind of sets its own tone, and elections are coming up, and this year there are 76 candidates for 14 seats. Yeah, and
that's impressive.
It's great, and it's wonderful, and we tried to interview in the 30-minute interviews as many of those candidates as possible, and Stu, Lanktheris and Bach from AIU and from just the community, you guys are the heroes this year. I'm fairly certain Lank's wife is going to murder him. Same goes for Bach. And Stu, I don't think he's gotten sleep since December. So, a big shout out to kind of the three of you, and just everyone that's been involved with the podcast. capstable.net/CSMX for more details.
Oh, that is impressive. That is really cool. So, any other Eve news to share with us tonight, guys?
You know what? That's about it that I have. Turbo, do you have anything else?
I can't really think of anything other than we're trying to get a AIEU specific referral link to allow right now anybody in Eve, if you just go onto the Microsoft Life forums and ask, we can get you a referral code for 21-day trial, and if you end up paying for a month of subscription, that you actually get, it gives us a Plex, and right now we're giving the Plex back to the players. We're also going to try and get it one where it gives a Plex to the Corp, I guess, or it gives back to the Corp, so that we can just kind of help the Corp out some with that, and it allows us to get people in and help out the Corp a lot as far as what we're doing.
Right. So, just a quick question. You guys do have Umami, right? You guys are utilizing Umami for new members?
Yes, we absolutely are. The process is pretty much identical, except you do need what's called an API key. There are directions on the AIE wiki for how to make that API key, or otherwise, actually, in the Umami app itself, there is a generate API key button that you can press that'll do all the work for you. And that's it. You just have to enter that in to verify that your character is an actual Eve character. But other than that, yes, we utilize the Umami process, and if you are interested in joining Ilia Iacta Est Universal, you will want to go to umami.aietachuniversal.net.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that.
Do me a favor, throw that in the show notes so we've got it up there. And we'll make sure it gets out on the website when we post the show notes, because I know we've got some people that are interested in joining it.
All right, so last week we instituted something brand new. It's the question of the week. Last week's question was, what brought you to AIE? Here are the great guilty answers that we received during the week. Ted, you want to start us out?
Beefmaster said the AIE podcast awareness came from the Johnson. It seems to be a running theme. The idea of hundreds of nice people in a dramaless guild brought me and Beefy Wives home. By the way, dramaless guild, that kind of fits everything.
Oh, honey.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, I think I'm muted.
Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's try that again. Hey, Ted, why don't you go ahead and start those out?
All right, the AIE podcast awareness, this is from Beefmaster, came from the Johnson. The idea of hundreds of nice people in a dramaless guild brought me and Beefy Wife home. Caesary the Healer said, good friends brought me here. The traditional friends and family are an added bonus to end all bonuses. Heart the AIE Guild. Brewdog said the AIE podcast, listening to David Breyer and Willie Dills and Warwick talk about the guild sounded like a gaming community for me.
All right, at George Wilson 3 said, went to a panel at DragonCon and learned about the AIE Guild. Everyone was awesome, so I knew it was the place for me. The lady who I fondly call Boss, AIE Shoujo AIE, said was an Incense fan before AIE, and our guild at the time got too dramatic during BC. I see a theme here. We moved to Earthen Ring and found a new home. Oh, I don't know if I want to read the answer from this guy. The B Matt, aka OMF. He was an instance fan like so many of us. The guild died, friends stopped playing, moved to AIE during the Sunwell patch. And Buckeye Fitzy, losing too many PvP battles as the original Alliance guild on Earthen Ring. Why don't you go take the next few, Tit?
Where's Kenny? Hashtag Guy Kenny. That's easy. Cyberwave got me hooked on Frog Pants, which led me to joining the AIE Guild. Crather said the Tadpool, and then that's also a very common. The Tadpool is also a very common answer in this. Jeannie, who is Acetus, said, I was a listener of the instance. Scott kept raving about the guild. I was at a crossroads with my own, so I decided to try it. And Ask Miss Mulgra said, she decided to go to Nerdtacular based on the instant show. Joined AI Guild to meet the people before I went. Now, we can't get her out of here.
The always hilarious Johnny Feisty said, probably some podcast about World of Warcraft or something. Mignette? Midnight, but it sounds like Mignette. It's Russian, right? Podcasts and friends, because all of CTR wasn't enough. Much like Shoujo, Memeth said the same. Prior guild did not work out right. Wanted a stable home. We all know. AIE, we're stable, right?
Well, we have a podcast called Cap Stable, so we've got to be stable.
Right.
John Martin, a.k.a. Kojak_70, said, hearing Milliway's eulogy on the instance, knew I wanted to be part of that community. At Accusad, I barely remember a time when I wasn't in AIE. Arlene Hunter, Blame, Smexidin, Medicakes, Mrs. Deviant 1, her many names, Blame, Smexy,
Yes.
and Gail Bond. I came to AIE through the Extra Life / Instance podcast influence. In WoW since 2005, her oldest AIE tune came in around 2009-ish.
All right, so we have a new question of the week. What's your favorite battle cry / phrase or raid wipe to call? Banana hammock, anybody? I'm afraid the furt one might not be appropriate for little ears. So, that's our show for tonight. Go ahead and, by the way, tweet those questions to us at the AIE Podcast. So, while our chat room begins suggesting show titles, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us from EVE. It's always so awesome to hearing what we're doing out in outer space. Just a heads up, there's not going to be a show next week because we're taking the week off for real life events. No, we're not going to a spring training game. We're actually going to the Renaissance Festival. So guys, Hoots, Turbo, how can we find you?
Well, I am totally glad you asked. You can find me at AIE Hoots. Turbo, where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Turbo Addiction.
Also, I totally cut you off. My apologies, Turbo.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I think I'm scopping out. I'm getting kind of...
You can also follow the Capstable podcast at Capstable. And then if you have anything that you need from the podcast, you can absolutely email podcast@capstable.net.
Awesome.
All right. If you have a question or comment about our show, you can email us at podcast@aie-guild.org. You can also follow us on Twitter. The show is at AIE Podcast. Aludra is at Aludra AIE. McCullough is at Cyberwave. Tetsemi is at Ivory Tiger. We record live with video every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can join the chat room and play along with us on our website at theaiepodcast.com. Our theme was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul or visit his website, keyswithsoul.com. And now it's time to play all of the great AIE member segments we received this week, including Ask Miss Mulgra, Mega Minute, and I think that's it.
Unfortunately, yes, because I know at least Overly Dramatic had a week off for chasing storms or something. Anyway, so again, we're off next week, but we're going to return on March 8th with SOTOR. So until then, AIE, this is Makala.
This is Tetsemi.
And this has been the AIE Podcast.
Woo! Thank you, Hoots and...
So
Thank you.
much.
No,
guys
thank
so
you
much.
as always for having us on. It is always a pleasure.
Ooh, I like that. The show title, Eve, 10,000 Noobs to the Rescue, or Eve baiting, ratting, and capital ships. That's a tough choice.
Ooh. Sybil, you're too good at this, my dear.
Hoots, do you have a preference on either of those?
Or any other suggestions are more than welcome.
I would probably lean towards the first one.
That is pretty epic.
Yeah.
Alright, seeing as we do not have any more show title suggestions, I am going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you, chat room, as always, for playing along. We appreciate it. And I will get the podcast up sometime tomorrow.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you again. It is